again. Another Wednesday, another stream. Let's see what is in store. All right, we are live on all our platforms after a little issue with Restream. How's everyone doing this morning? I got my very hot coffee. Ow. Let's see. What is going on in the world of church today? That is the question for our Wednesday streams. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Matt. I'm a pastor in Fremont, California, and I'm just hopping on these streams to kind of be present in the online space. And so if you have something that you want to talk about in regards to faith, the church, Christianity, religion, any of that, I am open and willing to talk about it. It's entirely unscripted and just stream of consciousness, which is kind of a scary thing sometimes, to be honest. But I feel very strongly that Christian leaders should be reaching out more in the online space and having open conversations without agenda, and that determination outweighs my anxiety. So that is why we are here this morning, and that is why we are here every Wednesday morning. So it's a little different. Like, it's kind of outside of our normal church live stream sort of stuff, which we still do on Sundays, but it's an opportunity for us to connect throughout the week and just chat about what's going on in life and the world and talk about it. So I'm going to jump into some articles today. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let's see. We have social media becoming the new pulpit for Christian music, posted yesterday, and 10 Commandment posters arriving in Texas public schools 21 hours ago. That's kind of a hot topic. Honestly, not a lot going on this week. There's a lot of the same older articles that I had seen previously. But again, if there's a different topic that chat wants to talk about, then we can do that. But I want to look into this 10 Commandments one first, because I haven't been following it super closely. Also, hello ads. Shout out to news sites for all of your wonderful ads that I'm going to try to remove. Okay, well, that made them bigger, but now we get to ignore them, which is nice. Okay. So, 10 Commandments posters arrive in Texas public schools thanks to Glenn Beck, Christian conservative groups. Yeah, it's interesting because I also read that this was blocked by a judge, so I don't really know exactly what's going on. I'm a little bit out of the loop on this. We've had a lot going on just here recently with our church. We have a big fundraiser coming up to help provide education and housing for at-risk women and children in the Dominican Republic. And so my focus has been pulled a little bit from some of the more hot topic things going on. So I'm excited to catch up a little bit. It looks like Senate Bill 10 is being challenged in court. And that's the one which requires Texas public school classrooms to display the 10 Commandments, which is a really weird thing. It's very strange hearing about stuff like this taking place in heavily how do I properly say it? It's like the demographic is prominently Christian. Maybe not predominantly Christian, but there is a prominent Christian demographic in some states that we don't see as much in California. Like, we have some hot spots here. We have a couple of mega churches, but like mega church culture is really big, more towards the center of the United States, and less so on the coasts, is what I've found. But so it's interesting to hear stuff like this, because in California there's just such a, especially being in the Bay Area, such a diversity of ethnic groups and religions that it's like, okay, this just seems strange. This seems weird. It's so out of the ordinary. Like, why would we put the Ten Commandments in classrooms? Like, isn't it the responsibility of parents to bring up their children in faith? And I mean, we have plenty of students in our youth ministry that go to public school. Actually, most of them go to public school, and they still come here to church, and they still invite their friends who aren't necessarily Christian. And so it's like, what is the purpose here? Is it just? It kind of seems like an image thing. Like, oh, look how Christian we are. We have the Ten Commandments in every classroom. Man, even growing up in a Christian school, I don't think we had the Ten Commandments displayed anywhere. But we did have like Christian flags, and so we would pledge allegiance to the American flag, and then we would pledge allegiance to the Christian flag. And even as a child, I was like, this is weird. This doesn't make a lot of sense. And so it's just, I don't know what the point is, other than to say, hey, we're Texas, look how Christian we are. I don't know. Let's dig a little bit deeper, because like I said, I'm not totally caught up on this. Willis Independent School District, one team, one purpose. And there's the sign with the Ten Commandments. That's an interesting design choice. Not sure I would have gone with that design. Also, love the art in the back that says God trust. Maybe it says in God we trust, but it's cut off in a fun way and says God trust. So shout out chat, God trust. Let's see. Love Heals, CEO Rebecca Smith helps deliver 10 Commandments posters. A new Texas law will require the post. Okay, so did it get passed? But it's in, because it's being challenged. So does that mean it passed and is now being challenged, or it's being challenged before it can be passed? Hey, Tohu, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. How are you doing? We are looking at something about Texas public schools putting up the Ten Commandments in classrooms. It looks like they've moved ahead with it. And not really sure. It sounds like it's being challenged, but I'm not sure where in the process they are with that. So we're catching up a little bit. I'm doing well. How are you? I'm doing okay. Yeah. I had some shoulder pain recently, and that's getting better. A coworker showed me some shoulder exercises that I've been doing, and it still hurts a bit. And so like but I have more mobility. That kind of hurts going up a little bit. But do Christians even try to keep the Ten Commandments? Surely lots of them work Sundays. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Let's see. I'm going to pull up a site just for fun, and I'm going to look at the Ten Commandments as we see it in the Bible. I'm going to use the NIV because that is the most common. If you just grab a random Bible, then it'll probably be the 10 Commandments. Man, even the Bible site has a bunch of ads. What is it, chat, with ads? It's crazy. So we have the 10 Commandments here. There's technically 11 commandments, but they're divided up into 10 based off of which two you kind of morph together. And so we have, I'm the Lord your God, which, again, for a public school student who's not a Christian, that's kind of weird. If you call yourself a Christian, then that is probably a pretty important one. That's technically the first one, but I think it gets morphed together with this one a lot. That's the most common rearrangement of the commandments. So, I'm the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me. We have a little, or gods beside me. You shall not make any images for yourselves. So that's false idols, creating your own gods that you are worshiping, like literally creating your own gods. That was a big issue back then. I heard there were 13 if you count every you shall, but I have to admit I haven't counted. Yeah. I've done a couple of light studies, but nothing specifically about the number of commandments, other than I know that there's more than 10. But yes, if you look at this, like even for what is considered the second commandment, typically, you should not make for yourself an image, but then also you shall not bow down to them or worship them. And so you get a couple of extra you shalls in there. But there are people much smarter than I am who are doing the translating and grouping these together in different ways. Wikipedia has a fun overview of how different Christian groups divide them up differently. Ooh, that would be fun to look into. Let me do that right after we review this. Do not misuse the name of the Lord your God. That one is often translated as do not take the Lord's name in vain, which culturally has evolved to mean don't cuss, which is just like way off of the point of what this is saying, which is essentially if you are swearing an oath, like don't bring God into it unless you are willing to follow through on the consequences. So saying something like I swear to God in like 21st century vernacular is kind of just like an exasperated sort of phrase. But at the time it's like I swear to God that if you do this, then I will do this sort of thing. And so it's like, yeah, don't drag God into it if you're not willing to follow through. And then we have the Sabbath day, which is what you mentioned about not working on Sundays. Saturday is typically the day off for us here in America, but also Sundays. But like as a pastor, like I work on Sundays, so it's like there's a lot of different interpretations of like, is this meant to be more metaphorical sort of thing? Is it oh hey, we got our nice little bot on Kick. That's nice. Let's block you. Is it more metaphorical, like hey, make sure you're resting, take a day off sort of thing, or is it like meant to be like that specific day, seventh day rest sort of thing? And so there's a lot of different perspectives on that, but it is interesting that like we work on Sundays. And actually in America, I'm not sure about other cultures, but like there's definitely a grind mindset, like work as much as possible, work 7 days a week if you have to, don't rest, because you have to get ahead essentially. And that's That's tough. That's tough. Then we have honor your father and mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, which is often translated like do not bear false witness, which is often then simplified to essentially do not lie. But really, it's like a much more complex thing than do not lie. Because like you often, growing up in a Christian context, you would hear like the rebuttal of like, okay, well, if you were held at gunpoint and you were asked if you were the only person in the house, like, would you lie to protect someone else, or something like that, where like you're put in a situation where in order to help people, it's better to lie, and then they would be like, well, it's against the 10 Commandments, but that's dumb. And so when we look at what it means to not give false testimony against your neighbor, it's essentially do not testify against someone in a false sense. And so it's more along the lines of like perjuring your statement in court, something like that. And then do not covet your neighbor's house or wife, or his male or female servant, ox, donkey, anything that belongs to your neighbor. That's like, again, simplified to like don't be jealous or do not envy, something like that. I think we could spend more time later diving into what it means to covet, but that's that's a whole nother video. But it's like it's more than an I wish that was me. It's not like a comparison is the thief of joy. It's like a bigger, bolder sort of thing. And then I believe that's it. Is that, yeah. And so we get a couple more you shalls in there. So it's like, it's definitely more than 10, but it's condensed down to 10. I do want to look up what you said, that's 10 Commandments Wikipedia article, because I think that'd be interesting to talk about. All right, the 10 Commandments. More ads, folks. Let's see what I can do before we start screen sharing again. All right, screen share. The 10 Commandments, or the Decalogue. All right. 10 Commandments, Decalogue, given by Yahweh to Moses. Okay, scholars have proposed a range of dates and context for the origins. Varies widely, as much of the Old Testament does, because they don't really use dates in a scientific way. They use them in a symbolic way, which makes it hard to place exactly where things go on a timeline. Let's see. Okay. Different religious traditions divide the 17 verses into 10 commandments in distinct ways. Yes. Lots of, essentially, people disagree. People have lots of good, valid perspectives and cannot agree. And that's a lot of Christianity when it pertains to ancient culture and stuff like that. If you scroll down a bit, there's a table. Oh, let's see. Biblical narrative, text. Ooh, love me a good table. All right. So we have. Are you going to show me? Okay, so the Septuagint, which is the Greek version of the Old Testament, I believe. But now I want to fact check myself, but I'm pretty confident. Then we have Philo, Reformed Christianity, the Talmud, which is a Jewish document, I believe. I'm going to fact check myself on that too, because now I'm doubting myself. Samaritan, which is a blend of Jewish and Greek, I believe. Augustine, that's Roman. Catholicism, also largely Roman. And Lutheranism, which is a schism off of the Catholic Church. Let me fact check myself on some of these terms, because I don't like to be wrong. Aha, yes. Septuagint is the earliest Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible. I was right on that. And the Talmud is the central text of Rabbinic Judaism. Hey, I was correct on that as well. Love it when that happens. All right. At the very least, I'm okay with being wrong, but at the very least, no one can say that I don't try to fact check myself, and that is a win for me personally, because I just want to learn and grow, and I'm, always learning and growing, and so the more that I learn, the more confident I'll be about it. So words like Septuagint and Talmud don't get thrown around a whole lot in the non-denominational church context. I wish they did more, but all right. And then we're looking at the commandments as they pop up in the King James version, which a lot of denominations would view as the best version, but I think we should leave it open to whatever's going to speak to the reader best. And I favor a little bit of ease of readability versus the literal accuracy of the words used. So you can see lots of thous and thys in the King James. That's hard for some people to read, and so that's why I reference the NIV, or if I'm looking for something a little more accurate with modern word choices, then I'll use the NASB. But let's see. So we have, I am the Lord thy God, and that's only shown as the first commandment in a couple of places. I believe that's Catholic and the Talmud. Yeah. And then looks like Reformed Christianity has it as like the optional 0th commandment. Then we have, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Everything kind of progresses from there in a pretty standard way, with everything kind of being offset based off of where you put the first commandment. What's interesting is that in what's this one? This one in Philo. I don't know what that is. Is that Greek? Let me Google that real quick. My setup is getting in my way now. What is the Philo Bible? Allegorical interpretations of the Torah. Interesting. It sounds Greek. Let's see. Philo is mentioned earlier in the article. That would make sense. Philo of Alexandria. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got excited about the table, so I scrolled down. So Philo goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 6, 7, 9, which is interesting. Kind of mixes it up a little bit. But then we get the additional mix 'em up here at the end. Things get a little crazy depending on where you organize things, where they end, because you have some translations saying you shall not covet, you shall not desire, and then slaves, animals. Oh, yeah. And so some of them divide coveting your neighbor's wife into a different commandment. And so it kind of, yeah, depending on what translation you're looking at. And then what is this one? This is that the Septuagint? Come on, where's my little pop-up? Samaritan, not the Septuagint. The Samaritans add, "You shall set up these stones which I command you today," as their 10th commandment. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so yeah, you're right. There is, let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 potential commandments found in the 10 Commandments. And like I said, they typically get divided up into 10, except for Reformed Christians who add a 0 before the 10 to keep it 10, even though they're like, there's 11. Kind of makes sense to me not to group up the wife in with the material possessions. Yeah, I agree as well. There's definitely, I think, a reason that they would group it that way for that cultural context. In a 21st century context, I don't think it's super helpful. Because it's like, yeah, your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, his slaves, animals, or anything else. And so it's a little tricky when it comes to stuff like that. When it comes to different views on the value of women, and so it's very tricky reading something that's written in a very specific context, well over 2,000 years ago, because we go at least 2,000 years back to Jesus, and then from the time of Jesus to this is potentially 2,000 more years. So it's a very different time, and Bible translators really have their work cut out for them with language and culture, and how language has evolved. So it's tricky, but it's like, why would the biblical authors say you shall not commit adultery, and then also specify do not covet your neighbor's wife? It's interesting that they divide that into two separate things. Also, I'm very curious now that we've dived into the NIV and we've pulled up the wiki, I'm curious what it is that is actually said on these 10 Commandment posters. Let's see. I'm looking for a link. Excuse me. Because they showed the picture of it as this. At the very least, that's very close. And the New York Times wants us to subscribe. Thank you, New York Times. You are being unhelpful. Okay. Open image, new tab. I'm really trying hard to get this image for us. They're not making it easy. All right. This is a super blurry image, but it looks very similar to this one. It looks like they maybe added a little bit of color to it, but otherwise I think it looks the same. Yeah. So it looks like they're using the King James, because I see some thous. We have, I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods. No graven images. They're not even saying idols. Do not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Keep the Sabbath day. Honor thy father and mother. Don't kill. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. And then, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, wife, manservant. They didn't say slave, they said manservant. Nor his cattle, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So some interesting choices. They have 11 here, but they also use the King James sort of translation, it seems like. They added some pops of color in this one. If I was a student, I would be like, excuse me, there's 11. I would be that student. Let's see. So, public schools require 10 Commandments goes into effect next month, unless a federal court intervenes, which it might. It sounds like that's where the challenge is coming from. There is not state funding for it, and teachers are not required to purchase the posters. Schools aren't either. But they must accept donations and display the posters once received. It's interesting, because we have freedom of religion, and this is a publicly funded school, potentially, like taking one school in particular into mind, like, would they display, like, religious codes from other faiths? Like, yeah, seems like it matches up with the Reformed column. Yeah, definitely. They have, like, the 0 commandment and then the 10 underneath it. So people are allowed to donate the 10 commandments, and then if it's donated, they're required to put it up. That seems kind of dumb. I don't know. I've been saying a lot of things are dumb recently. I probably shouldn't do that. I should probably have a more well thought out critique of things, but when you're put on the spot on some of this stuff, sometimes it feels dumb. It's like, okay, I don't know how this got passed I know how it got passed, but it's mind-boggling that it got passed. So, politically conservative organizations are getting the posters donated and hung. Several have already received them, and people are donating. For $1, it's no longer you can help a starving child. It's now you can put up a poster of the 10 Commandments. We couldn't beat that price. We had to jump all over that. We were going to be able to reach our goal much, much faster. What is your goal? And how does posters of the 10 Commandments help your goal? Love heals youth. What is the goal of love heals youth? Let me look into that, because I'm very curious, Rebecca Smith, how having posters up in classrooms will help students. Love heals youth. Let's look at their website. the numbers are constantly growing. Numbers of what? So much more than we can see. I don't see anything on your page. Counseling, okay. Almost 12,000 counseling hours. 100% free. Okay, I've now scrolled down a bit. I don't know. Did I miss it on the homepage? Oh, okay. Counseling program, help foster youth rewrite and repurpose their trials and tribulations so they can find acceptance for the present and find freedom from the past. Okay, that's not a bad thing. That's great. Like helping students in foster care. We partner with a foster care organization that works here in the Bay Area. And so, like, all for supporting children in foster care. I don't know though how having the 10 Commandments up helps them reach their goal much faster. Also, what is their goal? Because it seems like they're really focused on counseling. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, fulfillment of basic needs, but you don't actually say. I guess they're not meeting the base needs, it sounds like, but I mean still needs, which is good, of course. Let's see. Oh, okay. Tutoring, clothes. So they're doing some stuff. That's good. I still don't know what their goal is, other than helping children in foster care. Yeah, still don't know what their goal is. Oh, wow. That's a lot of service projects. I do like to see that. I really like this a lot. This is fantastic. It's 2023. Guys, it's 2025. What are you doing? Can we get some updated numbers for 2024, please? Love heals youth. And then we can look at 2022, but not 2024. This is very cool. Okay, still don't know what their goal is. Still don't know why 10 Commandments helps that, but at least they're doing some practical stuff in their community, and I really like that. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Powered by a Million Voices. Association of Churches focused on mobilizing pastors, people in faith and freedom. We have a similar organization that we're a part of that is kind of a coalition of churches. So potentially some good stuff there. Still don't understand the posters. Genuinely don't understand. So if someone is like really pro poster, like let me know what the rationale is here. By the way, the chat covers some of the text. Yeah, no, I know. That's unfortunate. I'm doing my best here with what I've got, because if I increase the size of the screen, or if I decrease the size of the text, then we'll just be flooded with ads, because they like to put them in the sidebar and up above, and that makes things even more difficult to read. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, let me know. But let's see. Oh, we have a video, a 15-minute video posted to Facebook. Resources to educators so they can understand and teach the Christian history of our nation. Oh, hey, they have the thing here too. If I had just scrolled down, then I would have found it. But I don't. If you think our nation has a positive Christian history, then maybe you should review our history as a nation in the United States. It's not great. Christianity was like we broke out of the rule of kingship from Europe and came over here, formed our own Protestant religion, and it really didn't actually change much. And then we tried to force convert a lot of people, and Christianity, the Bible was used to justify slavery. Like, there's not a lot of positive things that Christianity has done historically, like, to get us as a nation where we are today, except for the odd things. Like, I believe there was a okay, you gotta give me some grace on this, because I believe it was an article that was referenced in one of my fellow pastors' sermons that hospitals were actually started as a Christian movement, and there was a long list of things that like were started as Christian movements that became very commonplace, like, social programs, and that's fantastic. But resources to educators so they can understand and teach the Christian history of our nation. I don't think I don't think putting up the Ten Commandments really actually helps that. I think, again, like I said, I think it's an image thing to say, look, we have the Ten Commandments up. I guess you have to set things up a bit different in OBS. Yes, I'm using OBS, but not that important. Yeah, I could go through and make the window smaller, but yeah, it's tough. It's tricky. I'm not a pro at live streaming. I'm definitely stretching the bounds of what I know here, but I'm doing my best, chat. Let's see. Moving to restore the Ten Commandments back into public school classrooms. Was it there before? I don't know. This is really, really important. Is it? I don't know that it is. Okay. That just took me to a different article. A different empty article? Okay. That wasn't helpful. Okay, I thought it would take me to the video, but it did not. Okay. So we got a lot of people involved. We got all of these people holding the Ten Commandment signs. Love Heals Youth again. Not everyone is on board. Yeah, I would say so. Also, like, if having Christian education is so important to you, like, instead of putting the Ten Commandments in every classroom and getting teachers to teach Bible stuff, why not just create a Bible elective for students to take? Like, they can take it as an additional thing. I'm sure the conservative parents would be all over that. But then, like, don't make it mandatory. Like, if someone is not Christian, then, like, I'm pretty sure the relevant Christian things will come up in history class. But, like, if you really want to teach the religious aspects of it, then, like, just create an elective. Like, I don't think it needs to be that big of a deal. I feel like that would still spark some backlash, but at the very least, you can opt into, like, an elective class or something like that, and then have, like, a local pastor teach, a local youth pastor, a children's pastor. Like, have them come and consult, like, or hire someone that has a Bible degree that works with kids. Like, I don't think this is a good solution to the problem that is being presented. Is it really a problem? I don't know, but the problem is being presented, if that makes sense. Let's see. First Amendment, yep. Government established religion, yep. Totally fair. passive display. The Ten Commandments are foundational for the American system of laws. Some of the founding fathers were kind of Christian, but if you really know your history, which I don't super well, but my boss here at the church, our lead pastor, he does, and it's when he lays it all out, it's pretty obvious that, like, oh yeah, no, we're not founded as a Christian nation. There's like some loose Christian sprinkling of things, but like it's not the foundation for our American system of laws. That's okay. I misclick. All right. Oh, the Texas Capitol has the Ten Commandments. Interesting. Transparent attempt to pressure public school students to convert to the state's preferred brand of Christianity. Yep, totally agree. Parents and children should get to decide. Yep. But they're moving forward with it until we get any sort of result of things being struck down. But if you can do enough damage, then it's going to be hard to undo. And that's the problem with some of these political things that take time, is you can make a lot of progress on something before it gets undone. Let's see. Anonymous donor. More photos of, I think it's that same group. And that's it. Nothing about any progress. So I guess the update is that they're actively being donated to schools, and next month it'll be a requirement to have them hung. But let's see, where it said something about it's being challenged in court. So like we have to take it to the federal level, I guess, to do anything about it. It's just so weird. Like, is this weird for anyone else? Like, I don't know. It just, something about it is just not sitting right with me. It feels coercive, and that's not the message that we should be sending to people. I don't know, but let's see. Let's go ahead. Let's check in on our next article. At least seems like the wrong priority. Yeah, totally. Like, I don't see how it helps anything, really. Even for like that organization that's doing a lot of good for their community, this seems like a distraction from the things that they're doing that's good, and that's unfortunate. But let's look at this one. See, we're getting our ads popping up. I'll see if I can balance it a little better. That's not too bad. Oh no, we still got ads. Yeah, and so then we end up cutting things off. Even Jesus didn't mention the Ten Commandments when he was asked what the greatest law is. Yeah, he said all of the commandments hang on this one thing, and that is to love God and love your neighbor. Like, he puts it very simply. Like, everyone's trying to crack the code on following the laws, and they miss the point that, like, a relationship with God, relationship with Jesus is the point. We be faithful to him, and he is faithful to us. God obviously keeps up his end of the bargain, and we don't. Okay, let's see. Social media is becoming the new pulpit for Christian music. The closer I get to God, the more unattractive mainstream music is. Social media. Maybe it's just me. I don't I don't hear a lot of stuff on social media, like a lot of Christian music on social media. That might just be me though. Billboard 100, Christian pop. Lauren Daigle performed at the Super Bowl. This year's Super Bowl in 2019 in Las Vegas. What? How old is this article? Because it said this was posted yesterday. Interesting. Okay. So in 2019, Lauren Daigle sang at the Super Bowl. And Brandon Lake went to the BET Awards in 2022. This is like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of like Christian like celebrities. It's just like, okay, all right. Thank you for making music for people, but also like I feel like the more popular someone gets, sometimes the more watered down it gets. I don't know. Even the Latter-day Saints are listening to Christian pop. Okay. BYU hosted some concerts. Christian gospel, fourth fastest growing genre. This is just like, I don't know. This isn't as interesting as I thought it would be. As someone who does social media for their church, it's, I don't know. I'm not really seeing what's important here. But it's the Salt Lake Tribune, so that's Utah. So, and we have this nice ad for laxatives. So that's nice. Can I do another? There we go. Okay. Again, it cuts off more of the article, but it's like I don't want to be staring at a laxative ad this whole time. Like that's just. Oh, well, hey, there it is anyway. Okay, so that didn't help. It wasn't at the bottom. It was in the article. What the heck? Worship music is hot right now. Okay, that's not the point of worship music, though. Some really cool, fresh beats that closely mimic some of the other stuff coming out. Okay, that's great. Like, awesome. Cool. You have Christian music that you like. Good for you. I think we're done with this article. Let's see. Is there anything else interesting to talk about here? Anything recent? I'm not looking at the titles. I'm just looking at the dates right now. 2 days ago. Why are so many Christians suddenly opposed to empathy? Well, that's a good question. Let's take a quick look at that. And then this might be a shorter stream for me today because for some reason my throat is hurting. And that is not great. Also, we don't have any air conditioning in this room. And it's getting hot. And that is unfortunate. Let's see. All right. Poor people don't wear pajamas. We fall asleep in our underwear or blue jeans. It is an unnecessary elite indulgence. J.D. Vance. Okay, this is going to be a thing, isn't it? I just joined. The stream is ending. I hope you'll get well soon. Thank you. I have at least a couple more minutes in me. I want to take a look at this article, but I'm glad that you're joining. I would typically go for an extra half an hour, but yeah, like I said, I'm not feeling well. I don't know. Maybe it's something in the coffee this morning, but I'm gonna keep drinking it anyway, but So that's what happens when empathy is absent. Vice President now attacks empathy as weak, irresponsible, and wrong-headed. Most of the Christian news these days seems to be intertwined with politics, which is frustrating because I don't want to talk about politics all the time. I feel like I have made my political stances as much as I think I've made it very clear that I prefer to be apolitical. But in this political climate, it's making it hard to do that because there's a lot of people who label themselves as Christian who do stuff like this and say that empathy is bad when Jesus says to love your neighbors. Okay, let's see. Why is empathy so hard? Well, because we only have one perspective, we have one set of eyes and one brain, and we have only grown up experiencing life in one way. And so it is not natural for us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, but it's probably the best thing that we can do for ourselves and others. Seems like the news is taking quite the toll on you. Yeah, it's just frustrating. Like, I spend a lot of time not on the news. I'm not someone who like stays super caught up on things. I hear about the most important things through social media, through word of mouth. And then if something is important, then I'll stay updated on it. But for just like the last few weeks of doing these streams, I'll hop on a Wednesday and take a look at like what's going on in Christian news. And so far, just about every week, I think maybe with the exception of 1 week, it's been something political. And so it's not so much like that the news is weighing on me, because the news is going to keep coming no matter what. But it's just that like that Christians keep showing up in negative ways in the news. And it's like exactly the messaging that we're trying to fight against, because we want to be a positive positive members of our community. Like, that's what we want to be. And we want to not just like tell people that they should love Jesus, but we want to show them the love of Jesus. And then if they want to know more about Jesus after that, because it's like, well, why are you going out of your way to go against like what everyone else is doing in order to help people? Then like, yeah, then it's like, let's have a conversation about Jesus because you want to have a conversation about Jesus, not because I think you should want to have a conversation about Jesus. Mainstream news are usually depressing. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Let's see. Here's a protest. That was some girl praying for Trump. When told it was an anti-abortion rally, conservatives considered it peaceful, while progressives saw it as violent and threatening. And then they flipped when it was an LGBTQ rally. Interesting. Yeah, it's very us versus them, very divided. That's how they swing voters to vote one way or the other during elections. Is they get you to form a camp, and it's always us versus them, black and white. It's not real democracy in my opinion, but it's more coercion, especially with all the stuff going on with the gerrymandering. It's like, okay, great. How much control do we actually have over the election? Praying for Trump. Yes, I also pray that Trump will repent. That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, when Jesus says to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, like, it's a difficult thing to do. And I'm not praying that Donald Trump's political career will go any sort of way, but just that, like I would pray for anyone that, like, God do something in his life, that something would change, because obviously there's a lot of bad stuff going on. And I probably could get into it. I won't get into it. I don't think it would be like a risk to my job or anything to talk more about politics, but I just don't think it's helpful. Like, there's already enough people who are pushing the ball on that issue. I think the niche demographic that I'm speaking to is like Christians involved with politics and how Christians should navigate politics rather than any sort of political agenda. So I think that's where I'm going to keep myself. Let's see. Empathy and the order of loves. Sin of empathy. Oh, man, this is just, yeah. I don't understand. Yeah, convictions and empathy can coexist. Like, that's all you need to know, really. Like, you can believe one thing. You can even believe wholeheartedly that, like, everyone should come to know Jesus. But it's not an empathetic thing to be like, everyone needs to come to know Jesus or else. And I think that's the stance that a lot of Christians take, definitely in this political climate. And it's like, it's just not helpful. Like I said, it's literally, it's just the same as what's going on in politics. It's coercive, it's non-empathetic, it's non-loving. It's like selling fire insurance, which is just not what Jesus calls us to do. And it's sad. But yeah, this is the president is not a place for petty people. I like that quote. Yeah. No, that's rough. It's just faith and politics. And we have a president and vice president and a lot of this cabinet and a lot of strong political advocates in recent years who are outspokenly some form of Christian. And I don't think it's actually helpful for churches. It's helpful maybe for mega churches who can get behind what is being put out there in those agendas. But, for the average, like, medium to small church that's just, like, trying to be hyper local in its context, meeting practical needs, like, and doing well for the community, like, it kind of just paints a bad image of who Christians who Christians are, who God is, and what the church is called to do. So yeah, sorry to cut this stream a little bit short today. I am just feeling out of it. So please, if you want to keep the chat going, then join the Discord over here. I keep doing that over here. You can scan that QR code. There should also be a link tree in the video description, and that'll take you to that stuff. But thank you guys for joining in, and for Boris and Tohu for chatting. I appreciate you guys being here. And we'll be live on Sunday with another Discovery Bible study. It'll be very cool. We'll get to chat and read a little bit from the Bible, and then I'll be back again on Wednesday for more of this. So stay tuned.